Okay, so yeah, Archeage 2 is a thing. Apparently it's a thing, so we're going to be talking about Archeage 2 today. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the bullet points in one of the articles I was reading through. We're going to go through them, we're going to discuss them one by one. Then I'm going to give my overall thoughts at the end of, you know, what I think of the whole thing. And then, you know, hopefully you guys can give me your opinions as well. Or you can do that in the comments or over in the Discord. Or on Twitch, which I stream on Archeage is every Friday and Saturday. So that was not a very smooth plug. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for this. It's really interesting. The MMO market in general right now is it's looking good. It's looking like, you know, we've got a lot more interest again. It's been a while, but yeah, I'll talk more about that at the end. Let's start by looking through this article. So Archeage 2 has been confirmed. It's gonna be on the Unreal Engine 5, but it's still in really early development. Apparently they have 40 to 50 staff working on it right now, and they want to have a shorter development launch time than the original. Now, the original Archeage did release over in the West a lot later as well. And I'm trying to remember when it actually started development and when it actually came out. Hold on. So yeah, the original development time for Archeage was 2006. It started development, and it came out in Korea in 2013, and then it came out in the West in 2014, which is a long cycle. And I think 2011, 2012, they had betas for it in Korea. Because I remember watching stuff of Archeage back then and being like, wow, this is the next generation of MMO. And then we ended up waiting a few more years, and it took a little bit too long, and it didn't quite hit the mark. I think if it would have came out earlier, it would have done a lot better. But yeah, so it's interesting. We'll see what happens. They're saying this number of staff are going to gradually increase. Again, what this means for Archeage right now, I don't know. I'd really love to, I don't know, sit down with someone who is currently on the Archeage team and just know what the future of Archeage is right now, because I think that is a big worry for everyone here, because if you're going to make, you know, a sequel to an MMO, what's going to happen to the original? We're probably, I don't know, other MMOs have had their original stick around for a while, but usually, you know, development for it gets cut off, and then the game eventually gets the plug pulled. So, I don't know, we'll see. Because we have just had the Garden expansion fairly recently. We should hopefully have a lot more content coming. I don't really know. We'll have to see what happens. But that is a big worry. So, they also talk about here how the key design principle was freedom, and that'll continue to be part of Archeage. They're going to focus on more core elements, though, as well, while refining the freedom stuff. I really hope that what this does is we cut back on the daily stuff. I hope they learned the lesson from that, and they're looking to go back to more of the older Archeage, where it definitely was a lot more open, there was a lot more, it felt a lot more free. I don't know, maybe that was just me back in the day. But I feel like they've got to figure something out there. And then on top of that, they need PvE content. They just need PvE content. I realize for a lot of people, Archeage is very PvP focused. That's what they want in Archeage, but to have an MMO be successful, you want a good mix of that, and they don't have enough PvE content. You don't have enough dungeons. There's not any real raid. I mean, there's like maybe 1 or 2 raids. I'm trying to. There's a that's not even a raid at this point. But they don't have like any raids. There's no dungeons. They really need to do something about that and make it, I don't know, make some sort of PvE experience that people will enjoy. Because right now there's not really any. There's your daily instances that you run, but that's all they are. They're dailies. They don't feel like anything else. They don't feel like a challenge. It doesn't feel like when you do the PvE content you progress towards anything. There's not even cosmetics in most of the dungeons for you to pick up, which is something I've advocated for a little while. So I'd love to have more mounts drop or costumes drop in dungeons. Obviously, this is something to do with the the way the game was monetized as well at the same time. Now, they do mention here how Jake Song, the guy behind Archeage, mentioned the development was greedy and tried to satisfy all types of gamers. And that's why development took much longer. I think it was ambitious. I don't think greedy. Again, a lot of this is taken from a Korean article, I believe. They just like translate the bits over. So, yeah, it was definitely very ambitious at the time. And it was probably a lot of feature creep. But, yeah, we'll see. They also mention here how the focus for Archeage 2 is going to be on core content rather than adding new features over time. Which, yeah, I can kind of see that. Archeage in general has had a lot of changes over time. They've added lots of different features in, like the hero system, the player nations. There was the Obsidian gear in the past, and now the Taram gear. We've made a lot of changes. But, I mean, that's kind of normal for MMO. I don't know. I feel like I like the idea of focusing on the core content and adding more to that, you know, instead of, you know, I don't know, just different features. It feels like there's been a lot of experiments with Archeage in general. And hopefully they do improve upon what Archeage is doing right now. Because Archeage, as much as I enjoy the game, it has a lot of faults. And I definitely think that's something they can work on. One of the big ones being the power gap, which they actually do mention here. Because this is something I've been writing a whole thing on. So I wanted to do like a video talking about this, but the way the gear works in Archeage is you have a certain amount of equipment points. Your gear over time, your gear just builds up and up and up. And it takes a certain amount of time to get to the top tier of gear. And the difference between people's gear is very important when it comes to PvP or any of the content in general. So that's a big problem Archeage faces. And I feel like that's the reason that Archeage doesn't retain a lot of new players, because it can be really intimidating to actually come into an MMO and then, you know, you'll have people just say, oh, it's fine, we've got the Haram system now, you just grind away and it'll just take you like 3, 4, 5 months, you know, and you'll catch up. But the idea of not being able to do anything other than just grind and do dailies for like 5 months it's not that appealing, you know. It's definitely a big issue with Archeage. And then like people have ways of like getting around this as well. Like they'll earn more gold through having free accounts at once and stuff like that. I think alts in general have become a really big part of Archeage's culture. Because I mean, alt-age, you know, especially with Legacy. I mean, even in Legacy, I had 2 other alt accounts that I'd have, you know, I'd have my train going through Hellswamp all the way to Salsreed to deliver my trade packs whenever it was in peace. Because, yeah, that's right, I was a filthy potato farmer back in the day, and still kind of am. But yeah, they do mention how this was a problem because of the sales and revenue mechanic, which, I don't like the way Archeage monetizes. I wish, I don't know, like, I don't mind the cosmetic stuff. I feel like you need some in an MMO, but at the same time, I think a lot of people in the West actually prefer a subscription model, and I feel like that is a more sustainable business model, in my opinion. Definitely would help a lot more. It means, you know, we wouldn't have to put out updates as expansions, which may have upset people, and gate content off. We wouldn't have issues like that. Even though I think expansions are fine, but, you know, when it comes to just updates in general that were pushed out as expansions when they weren't really expansions is yeah, it's something that's a bit of an issue. I probably back, you know, years ago, I probably wouldn't want a subscription model for myself, but I could see Archeage benefiting a lot more from having that. Well, Archeage 2 benefiting a lot more from having that and not having the free-to-play version, because I feel like having free-to-play and Patreon was a big issue for Archeage. It caused a lot of problems. You had Apexes that people could buy and sell. There were a lot of things that took away from the game, and I realized what people want in the West is going to be different to what people want over in Korea. So I don't know what a what approach exactly they're going to take. I just want to get all my thoughts out on this. They also do mention in this how Archeage has been out for a long time now, and many of the many functions and elements of the game became irrelevant, and they tried to make changes, which they did. They've done a lot of changes, as I mentioned earlier. We've had the different gear systems. We had the player nations, which felt like one big experiment. Which the idea of player nations is really cool. It just didn't pan out in the end, I guess. I wasn't around. I quit before that became, well, before that was gone, before Haram and all that came in. So I kind of missed the boat on a lot of the player nation stuff, but I did see some of it. So they also stress how there's a desire to, learn from the development of Archeage and refine it all for Archeage 2, which is the exciting part, because I feel like they could do something really cool with Archeage 2. They mentioned it's gonna have a lot of stuff. It's gonna have houses, it's gonna have sea warfare, cars, ships, and it's gonna have stuff beyond that. They don't go into specifics, but hey, airships maybe? Who knows what's next? They do also mention here how they were very happy with the total sales of Archeage from the West, because half of them came from the West as well as Korea, so they are very happy with putting this out to the West, and hopefully that means we'll get it a lot sooner than we got the original Archeage. Hopefully they'll actually try and cater to us over here as well, as much as possible. Maybe we'll get some differences between the Korean version and the Western version, kind of how we do with Unchained. But yeah, that's honestly all we really got on the details of what they want to do with the game. Now, they do mention how it's going to have the same world view, so it's going to be as the original Archeage, but it's going to be a different time and parallel dimension, because, then they get to rewrite all the lore and, change the locations and basically do whatever they want with the map. So, what the map will look like, who knows? I imagine we'll have some of the same locations. Maybe we'll have different starting points. Hopefully, factions. I don't know what people's opinions on factions are. I find the idea of pirates really cool. I feel like the Harangues and Noyan factions, I don't know. I don't know how relevant they are. I feel like you could just have the races choose their faction from the start as well. I think that should just be a thing. Who knows what races we'll even get in the game? Maybe we'll finally get the Daru as a playable race. Everyone's favorite characters. But yeah, this is all going to be written by the same guy as well. It's all going to be pretty much the same team as the original Archeage, the same heads behind it. So it should be interesting. I'm kind of excited for it. I really hope that it does some new stuff, as well as sticking a little bit to what Archeage did originally, and maybe we'll see something really cool come out of this. According to this, we're actually going to get more details in the first half of 2021, so I look forward to seeing what happens with that. My concerns are that I'm not sure how it's going to do in a world that also has games like New World and Ashes of Creation. I think Ashes of Creation, especially, that's a big one everyone has their eyes on right now. And who knows how it's going to go in the end. But they're going to have to come up with something big to pull people in. I think people are very... I don't know, Archeage doesn't have the best rap among a lot of people. But I'm really hoping they knock something out of the park with this and just do something really cool. Okay, so yeah, I think I've rambled on a little bit there, but again, my main concerns are I don't know how well it's going to do. I'm also worried about what this means for the future of Archeage now, especially with Unchained not being out that long. It's not even been a year yet, I don't think. I think we're coming up on a year soon. So we've had that, and yeah, I don't know. I'd love to talk to a dev. I don't know if we just get any more information about what that means for the future of Archeage. I assume hopefully we're getting a lot more content, This game's hopefully going to be supported for a lot longer, because I imagine most of us probably still want that. But yeah, Archeage 2. Cool. 2021. Let's find out more. if we make it that far, let's find out. Let's see what happens with it. So yeah, that's all I can really say on this. There's not much more. I think I've said for the most part what I'd like to see and what my concerns are. Let me know what your guys' concerns are as well, because I'm super intrigued to know what people want to see. I think what I want to see is what most people want to see. I don't know. Again, this is just my opinion, so I'm sure you guys have other ideas where you'd like the game to go. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Like the video, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff, and then you can join the Discord as well, or check me out on Twitch and talk about this more over there, because I'm sure you guys have some crazy ideas for what you'd like to see in the game. Airships, player airships, that's what I want. And then we can have some like anti-air stuff on ships, on like not airships but the sea ships. Yeah, hire me Archeage team. Okay, we're done. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.